So this is now the second part. So I've already explained what we did in the first part of the video. What you want to do is you want to have a saved game. You want to save your game as much as you can, just in case you run into problems like food. I'm also going to quick save. Now, we've got pretty much the power sorted. We've got the base built, sort of. So now we're going to continue what the message on the right hand bottom corner wants us to do. So it wants us to put down a rock crusher. So we will get the rock crusher, bring it down a little bit. Let's place it there. Now it wants us to supply electricity to the rock crusher and to the workshop, aka your base. So we're going back to the battery pack. See, we're at 210.0 kilowatts an hour out of 1100. So to know how much a building requires power, you can simply just look at the structure yourself, and to the bottom left corner you'll see right at the bottom it says structure. When it says 25.00 kilowatts an hour, that is how much the structure requires for power. And you'll notice when we add other stuff and then start planting, it will go from 25 kilowatts an hour to a lot higher. So at this moment we are going to supply 25 kilowatts to the base. Once that circuit breaker light goes green, then you are good to go. It has power. It will take a bit of time to update. There you go. So now the workplace or the workshop has now got power. Currently the structure only uses 10 kilowatts an hour. That is just for the lights. While we are here, let's grab some water.
Water refilled.
I haven't got my ration packs on me, but that's okay. We can get them when we need them. So, how do we want to enter the base? You can enter through the workshop, or you can simply enter straight through the greenhouse, which I'm going to go straight through the greenhouse. So I've already added the airlock iris to my hotbar, which is number 3. So we've connected that. We also need to connect the rock crusher to the transformer ECU. Don't forget, blue is always your output and yellow is always your input. So even though we've got that set to 100, the rock crusher only requires 10% power. And when the power gets there, it will update, and that rock crusher electricity supply will then be completed. But actually, it might not work because there is no light. It's now gone nighttime. So I'm getting everything else prepared, ready for tomorrow, or for the morning. We're gonna get some sleep once we've actually eaten some food. That should give us enough food to sleep through the night. Let's close this.
Oxygen source external.
Let's go for 8 o'clock.
Warning. Low temperature warning. Oxygen 30%.
So we've got some sleep. The rock crusher should have some power. If it does not, so it's currently being fed 9 kilowatts instead of 10 kilowatts. So we need to bump that up to at least 1 kilowatt. So we're going to go here. As you can see, it's 9 kilowatts. So we just need to bump it up 1.
Incoming message.
Well, pretty much bump it up to 2 because it's 12%. Don't worry, the battery still has most of the power going into it. 79.2 kilowatts an hour is still going into the battery. You want to try and have as much power going into your battery to keep it charged or at a steady level. So now that we've done that, we are going to build airlocks. Now, notice that I haven't done it in order, okay? Don't stress about it. You can simply just do what I'm gonna do, okay? Don't get stressed about it not being in order. We're just gonna simply take the airlocks down, okay? So let me just grind this one down. And I'm going to build the airlocks again. Just so the message doesn't stay popped up. Build the workshop printer. Now there's going to be no power into the base because it requires 30 kilowatts instead of 25. So we're going to bump that up to at least 30. If the circuit breaker light is orange, it's basically telling you, hey, we need a bit more extra power here. If it's red, however, if that light is red, that means there is no power getting fed to the building. So when it's orange, it's good. It's just telling you you need more power. So we're gonna... So what did we say it was? 30 kilowatts. So if we go to the battery, we do 30. That light has now gone green and it has now got power. Regardless of it saying error, just simply look away and look at the structure again. And now we've got power back in the base. I can't stress how much what is going to happen.
Low pressure warning.
Once you start
Equalizer
adding
pressure.
things like incubators, hydroponic shells, it is going to use up power, especially when you start
Oxygen, 25%.
growing food. So we want to build our greenhouse because we're already in here, so it makes sense to place everything. Now, there you go, the power has gone down, the power is out. Don't panic about it. Use your flashlight to see what you're doing.
Equalizer pressure. Equalizer pressure.
But like me, I'm not stressing about the game. So notice that we built the composter and we've lost power. Basically, it's just a power surge. It requires 34 out of it. Okay, let me try and say that a bit better. On the structure, left bottom corner of your HUD, we've given it 30 kilowatts. But now we've added to the structure, it now requires 34. So instead of increasing the power straight away, finish off the inside.
Equalizer pressure. Low pressure warning.
Just give it a bit of time and then it will equalize power. So even though we've lost power, we're not going to worry about it. Let's just place everything into the structure first. CO2 scrubber's already there. So at this point, I can't really do anything with a small hydroponic shelf. I can't do anything with that at the moment because I've spawned in as a scientist, and we get the greenhouse which upgrades the hydroponic shells and the incubators. So at this point, we've done everything. So when you come to your messages, see this crosshair, just click it. That will get rid of the message on the right side of the corner. Now, as you can see, bottom left, it says workshop, but it requires 39 kilowatts, and we only gave it 30 kilowatts. So we're going to bump it up to 39.
Equalizer pressure. Equalizer pressure.
So let's give it 39 kilowatts that is required. No, 39. We'll give it a bit of time, and that should update. So that's now got power again because of the circuit breaker light went green.
Equalizer pressure. Low pressure warning. Equalizer pressure.
So now we've got power, we've got lights. At this point, if you've got everything, you want to start planting straight away.
Equalizer pressure. Equalizer pressure.
Bearing in mind, as soon as we do start planting, there is that slight chance the power is going to surge out on you. But don't rush it, don't get stressed, just take your time with it. Like, we don't really need all of this in our inventory. To be fair, I tell you what, let's take it all out of the rover as much as we can, and we're gonna dump everything into the 3D printer's printer container.
Low pressure 1. Equalizing pressure.
We're just gonna dump everything inside the printer container. We don't need any of this at the moment, so it's pointless being in your inventory, apart from you want to keep all of the necessary components. Don't need any of that at this moment in time, so just dump it in there. Use it as your storage container. So we need to equip our planting tool. So let's go and plant tomato. You can hold down and just drag with the seeder. One, it's a lot quicker to do it that way. Plants are withering. Don't start panicking about it. That is only because we've not given it any of its demands yet. As long as you see that blue bar in the bottom left corner where it's got the health icon, as long as that's still high, you're still good. So here we go. You can manually set if you wish. However, I find it easier just to below the demand. I just find it easier just to collect the demand, and it will automatically set the values of the incubator demand. And you can see there is nothing coming through. Why is that, do you reckon? Why do you think there's nothing coming through? We've got power. The base has power. But why is the incubator lights not on? Correct. We have forgotten to connect the water. So if we've got the hose on us, we haven't. So before you go outside, remember to take things that you need. And we have no energy, even though the lights are on, which is a bit weird. So that is probably the main reason why nothing was working. And of course we've still not fed it any water yet. So we need to power the base up. So it requires 41.10 kilowatts, even though we've set it to 39.
Suit power 75%.
So sometimes when you flick the breaker off and back on, it might take a bit of time to update. If it doesn't update, then we'll simply just feed it more power. Let's go with 50% on the output. Once that circuit breaker light goes green, we have power again. The greenhouse needs water. I think we might have some hoses in the rover. No, we don't, but we can take the rest of the stuff out of here anyway.
Equalizing pressure. Low pressure 1. Equalizing pressure.
Of course, the only downside using the printer container for storage is when you run out of power. But to be quite frankly, it's not that difficult. You just need to give it a bit more oomph in power so you can get what you need. So we need the hose. And what we're going to do is
Equalizing pressure. Equalizing pressure.
we're going to connect the water straight up to the greenhouse. So the panel is going to be on the right side. You can connect it to the workshop if you wish, but later on you're probably going to have your own electric and your own supply to the greenhouse, because later on in the videos I'm going to have the greenhouse on its own power supply and its own water supply. So if the single battery power or the battery pack for some reason runs out of power, we're only going to lose power to the workshop. We're not actually going to lose power to the greenhouse. Basically, you want to try and have separate connections on the buildings. That way, if one part of your base is out of power, at least you've got your what's the word I'm looking for? At least you've got your essential building with power and water supply, which is the greenhouse. The greenhouse is going to be essential because that is what's going to help you survive, especially when you're growing plants. So we could leave the transformer on 12% for the rock crusher, but we're not using the rock crusher at the moment, so it doesn't need to use up power. So we want all of the power to go to the battery pack. We want to try and keep that charged or charging as much as you can. And like I mentioned, we're later on, once we've got ourselves sorted, once we've got our food sorted, we are then going to supply water and electricity to the greenhouse on a separate circuit. It's not essential, but it will help you out in the long run, especially when you start getting power surges. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this part of the video. Part 3 will be coming shortly. We're gonna need to get our suit O2 back up, and we're gonna probably have some water and some we're gonna get hydrated, and we're gonna eat some of our ration packs.